On July 26, CCTV, China Daily, Xinhua, and other major Chinese Communist Party media reported a news article, Henan Xinjiang Communist Canal Breach Successfully Blocked Off. Similar to other reports by the state media, it did not include when the canal was breached, how much it affected the surrounding area, or how many people were affected. It only mentioned how brave and great the army was under the leadership of the CCP, and how it overcame the difficulties. Because the name of this man-made river is the Communist Canal, it seems to be more symbolic to the CCP. Since July 20th, heavy rainfall across Henan caused the water level of reservoirs and rivers to rise rapidly. A large number of reservoirs in Henan are releasing water to protect their own safety, and a large amount of floodwater rushed into the rivers, causing many rivers to overflow their banks. At 10 p.m. on July 22nd, the Wei River's embankment located in Xinjiang City was breached. At 8 p.m. on July 22nd, the Wei River's bank in Peng Village was also breached, 30 kilometers downstream of Xinjiang. At 8 a.m. on July 23rd, the left bank of Weihe River in Xindian Village collapsed. The right bank has been divided according to the flood release plan, and 7 flood storage areas have been activated. After the banks broke down, the floodwater was like a fierce beast, pouncing on the houses and farmlands nearby, completely unstoppable. None of the houses in the village were spared, and everything was flooded. On July 23rd, the Huojia Dam in Henan province broke its embankment. Rescuers and people on the dam quickly evacuated, and many people fled for their lives. On the same day, the Communist Canal also broke its banks, located at the intersection of the Communist Canal and the Wei River with a width of more than 100 meters. According to the Chinese media, the previously mentioned banks were repaired on the 26th. In order to stop the breach, a large number of trucks loaded with rocks were pushed into the flood. The Communist Canal alone swallowed up more than 40 trucks, and the army dispatched several helicopter units to drop containers. After the old bank was repaired, the village of Hezhuang had another breach on the morning of the 26th, and the length was estimated to be around 50 meters. The reservoir discharge combined with the multiple embankment breaches have severely affected Henan province. According to the official reports, as of noon on the 27th, Henan's heavy rainfall has affected 13 million people, and 71 people were killed. It was initially verified that 29,000 water conservancy facilities were damaged. A total of 933,800 people have been transferred to avoid danger in the province, and 2.5 million acres of crops have been affected, with 360,000 acres of crop failure. It is impossible to confirm how many of the more than 10 million people in Henan were affected by the rainstorm and how many were affected by the floods of the reservoirs. But it can be confirmed that most of the people affected were unaware of the reservoir discharge floods. For example, the Changzhuang Reservoir, which is only 6 kilometers away from the center of Zhengzhou City, started discharging downstream at 10:30 a.m. on July 20th. But Zhengzhou's online disaster prevention service did not inform people of the flooding until 1 a.m. the next day. People went to work and traveled normally on July 20th without a clue, which led to this major disaster in Zhengzhou. According to a report by Radio Free Asia, a person in Xinjiang who requested anonymity told RFA that the local government is ineffective in dealing with the floods, including local officials who secretly dug the embankment to discharge the water in order to avoid compensating farmers. Mr. Song, a commentator on current affairs, told RFA that secretly breaking the embankment to release floodwaters is no different from murder. The deliberate and secret release of floodwater, some even digging the embankments, can be said to be rare in the past and present. This is simply intentional killing. Zhengzhou discharged water under the guise of heavy rainfall, and many people were not aware. People in other places, including Xinjiang and Hebei, are getting a bit wary of the government, being vigilant in case they secretly break the embankment in the middle of the night when people are sleeping. A woman in Xinjiang commented on Weibo, her family lives in an area where the Mengjiang River merges into the Wei River. At 4:50 a.m. on the 21st, the river waters kept rising. She had always trusted the government before, but this time, the people in her village almost drowned in their sleep. Because the riverbank was guarded by villagers in the middle of the night, they discovered a construction crew trying to dig the riverbank and shouted for other villagers to stop them, narrowly avoiding a man-made disaster. The village of Qimen in the town of Xinzhen is located at the intersection of 3 rivers. The villagers spent 2 days and 2 nights raising the riverbank in order to prevent flooding, but they were dug out and destroyed by the government. During the conflict, the villagers were sprayed with pepper spray and gave up, resulting in the village being flooded. The crops and the first floor of buildings were basically all flooded, and the water was more than a meter deep. Officials censored the news. Recently, the village has been cut off from electricity and water, and it has become isolated. They are in urgent need of rescue equipment such as water pumps, and the villagers are pleading to the public for help. At present, there are still several cities in Henan in a state of emergency, including Xinxiang, Huixian, Anyang, and Hebei. Large areas of villages and towns are flooded, water and electricity are cut off, and villagers are on the roofs waiting for help. There was a story circulating on the internet about a villager who was trapped in his home by the flood and called and asked for help online, but no one responded. In the heat of the moment, he berated Xi Jinping on Weibo and was soon taken away by the police. There is no way to verify the authenticity of this story, but it encapsulates the current state of affairs in China, where stability is paramount and police control over people's speech is far more important than protection of their lives. At present, due to Typhoon Infa, Henan province will have heavy rain or even torrential rain in the near future, and there will be reservoirs of all sizes that may continue to flood. The disaster will only get worse since the Weihe River's breach has not yet been completely closed off for the time being. While praying for the safety of the people in Henan, people are also reflecting. The floods in China seem to be getting worse and worse every year, but how many of them are the result of the party's evil deeds many decades ago? How many of the floods in China are natural disasters, and how many are man-made? The People's Victory Canal, an irrigation project to divert water from the Yellow River in Henan province, was launched in 1951 and opened in 1952. Mao Zedong, former leader of the CCP, inspected the canal project on October 31, 1952, and opened the Yellow River irrigation gate with his own hands. He also put forward his idea that, along the Yellow River, it would be great if every county could build a gate to divert water from the Yellow River. His idea was soon implemented, and a large number of irrigation projects were built in Henan and Shandong province. Starting in 1953, the Communist Party built a large number of canals and reservoirs. The Ministry of Water Resources and the Ministry of Rural Work proposed to vigorously carry out the construction of small-scale water conservancy projects for the masses. In November 1957, the CCP began the Great Leap Forward campaign, and Mao Zedong specifically quoted the Great Leap Forward folk song, I'm Coming, in which Mao praised the lyrics, Let the mountains bow, let the rivers give way. In June 1958, Mao Zedong put forward the slogan of expanding food production as the main focus in agriculture. Since then, the requirements and speed of the leaping forward development in agricultural production have continued to increase. As the lifeblood of agriculture, water conservancy construction has also reached a new high. Small-scale water conservancy construction, mainly small reservoirs and canals, has been carried out vigorously throughout the country. During the Great Leap Forward movement, for water canals alone, Henan province has built the Communist Canal, Dongfeng Canal, Red Flag Canal, and People's Leap Forward Canal. The names of these canals were all heavily politicized. The massive construction of canals and reservoirs were referred to as construction of water conservancy projects to permanently solve natural disasters such as floods and droughts. But in reality, it embodies the CCP's philosophy of conquering nature, transforming nature, and man's determination to win over heaven. For example, the Communist Canal we talked about is 192 kilometers long, with a width of 80 to 100 meters at its entrance. Dug in 1958 during the Great Leap Forward, it was named after the 3 provinces of Henan, Hebei, and Shandong, which were said to have carried out the spirit of communism together. It took just over a year to complete the construction. In order to build the Communist Canal, several counties under the jurisdiction of the Anyang Prefecture mobilized and set up a task force. Each county was responsible for repairing a section. There were more than 10,000 migrant workers in Jun County alone. The intention back then was to bring water from the Yellow River to the Wei River through the Communist Canal in order to relieve the water shortage in Tianjin, where the Wei River enters the sea. However, the Communist Canal project was blindly launched with technical design flaws and failed to achieve its intended purpose. In 1962, the third year after the canal was built, it stopped diverting the Yellow River due to technical reasons. Similar to the fate of many canals built during the Great Leap Forward era, the Communist Canal was gradually abandoned and deserted after the 1980s, with many broken riverbanks along the way, and the river becoming a heavily polluted and smelly ditch with piles of garbage and serious siltation. It wasn't until the end of 2018 that the Wei River Communism Canal Management Project in Henan Province officially started. The Water Resources Department of Henan organized the preparation of the Wei River and Communist Canal Flood Control and Drainage Management Plan, with a total investment equivalent to $244 million and a construction period of 2 years. The authorities claimed that the Wei River and the Communist Canal would be improved to form a more complete flood control barrier. We have no way of knowing the results of the treatment, but what we see today is that the Wei River and Communist Canal, both of which were completed last year, have broken their banks, creating even greater disasters. Jiang Guocheng, a former senior engineer and deputy chief engineer at the China Institute of Water Resources and Hydropower Research, told this to Science News. In the wave of water conservancy projects during the Great Leap Forward, a large number of reservoirs were built quite mindlessly. Many reservoirs and dams are designed to resist flooding with a low standard, poor construction quality, serious quality problems, and more hidden dangers. Many small and medium-sized reservoirs lack scientific planning, investigation, and design, and are constructed blindly. The decisions were even left entirely to the supervisor. As a result of these defects, the reservoirs lack flood relief facilities, the dams have serious leaks or failures, and are incomplete projects from the very beginning of operation. Chen Zhikai, a former director of the China Institute of Water Resources and Hydropower Research, said, "Many small and medium-sized reservoirs have no planning, no design, no investigation or foundation clearing, and even no spillway." In August 1959, a torrential rain in the Jinzhou area caused a flood that destroyed 10 medium-sized reservoirs under construction on the Liugu River and broke the Beijing-Shenzhen Railway, the lifeline of transportation at the time, shocking the whole country. According to information from Hebei Province, of the reservoirs built during the Great Leap Forward, about 70% of the small reservoirs have serious problems. In Fuling County, 20 small reservoirs were destroyed by a heavy rain in July 1959.